Yes, indeed. It's still Sunrise Daily on Channels Television, and the talking points have found a way of gliding one into the other this morning. Our last guest was concerned about how very important issues have become casualties of the recent politicking, and that is the management of tertiary education. That's where we're headed this morning as the Senior Staff Academic Association of Nigerian Universities has proposed its own peculiar payment system that it says is going to be the solution to the problem of payment remuneration in Nigerian universities across board. And that's why we're welcoming the National President, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, who joins us from our Abuja studios, Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
So let's start this way, Mr. Mohammed. Tell us a bit more about the Unified Peculiar Personnel Payroll System, UPPIS.
Okay, it's actually called U3PS, University Peculiar Payroll, Personnel and Payroll System. I may have to give you a bit of background of how this came about. The federal government of Nigeria are worried by as portrayed by them, the corruption that occurs in the university system, especially issues surrounding bloated personnel costs, payment of salaries to people whom they feel were not existent in the university system, came up with the idea of enrolling the universities also into the integrated payment personnel information system, that is IPPIS, which has hitherto was working for the mainstream civil service from the MDS. Now, in 2019, doing that, federal government invited the university the four university-based unions made up of ASU, SSANU, NASU, NAT, and a presentation was made. And the impression given to us was that government was interested in ensuring that the university system runs, seamless, and that payments are centralized from Abuja, and that people would not have issues surrounding payments about their salaries. A lot of issues, discussions were made, and at the demonstrations, we raised some concerns about peculiarities of the university system, because the university operates, differently from the way the mainstream civil service, operates. It has some things that are not existent in the mainstream civil service. And government took some of these suggestions, and they came back to us to convince stakeholders that those concerns were addressed. So of the four university-based unions, 3 keyed in: SSANU, NASU, and NAT. ASU at that point, opted out. Now, we immediately, this system was kickstarted. It was something that we never envisaged. That is, haphazard payments, mutilation in salaries, and the system became so confused that salaries could no longer be paid without issues. Vice chancellors were paid salaries of drivers, registrars were paid salaries of cleaners, lecturers, professors were paid salaries of security men. So it became an issue that we felt that our decision to key in was actually a mistake. And challenged by this, we felt that as professionals, because in SSANU, we are mainly of the non-teaching cadre, and we are a group of professionals. It is only in SSANU and NASU that you find, core professionals in accountants, engineers, ICT experts, architects, and name them. So we were challenged by this, and we felt that as members of staff who work in the citadels of learning, we should not just complain, but should come up with a solution, present to government, and see how this can help, ease the situation. So we commissioned our members who are basically the experts from the ICT, from the bursary, because the members of SSANU and NASU are the ones preparing and paying salaries in the universities. So this is our core mandate. So we came up with this payment solution called U3PS, University Peculiar Personnel and Payroll System. It's a robust IT solution that accommodates and will take charge and pay the university, system without much ado. It is not for only the non-teaching, but it is to take care of the whole university system. It will bring on board the flexibility of allowing staff to enjoy and access approved allowances by government, which does not exist in the current IPPIS. Because immediately IPPIS came on board, what we realized was that our members were shortchanged. Most of the allowances that they were supposed to get, or that they were getting, were completely chopped off, and we became poorer. And that was the reason why people started complaining. Now, in U3PS, you find the robust flexibility of all these subheads being mentioned in the system, and that there are checks and balances, because the registry is the point of entry. If a staff is employed or is already existing, he is captured by the personnel, department, and then the bursary, takes charge of the payrolling. And then the audit trail is also done by the audit unit in the universities. So the system is really so flexible and friendly that members of staff in the university community will not have to suffer untold hardship that we are currently facing, while using the IPPIS solution.
Mr. Mohammed, where does that leave UTAS, the University Tertiary Payment System proposed by ASU? And it would seem like ASU, SSANU, NASU are working at cross purposes now that you have come up with U3PS.
Well, I may not be competent to speak about UTAS because I'm not a member of ASU. And ASU did not, accost us or did not come to us to ask for, key assistance as it were. Because like I said, issues surrounding payment of salaries is basically our core mandate. Members of staff who work in the bursary are the non-teaching cadre staff. We have accountants who work there, and those that work also in the ICT are majorly our members. So when ASU came up with the idea of UTAS, we were not aware, and we also already have decided to come up with this U3PS, which we have presented to government yesterday, and we are waiting to face the agency of government that is mandated to do the integrity test. So I may not be able to say much about UTAS because I am not fully involved in what UTAS is all about.
But ASU, NASU, NAT are all within the academic community. You would agree with that. I'd like to ask again that why the age-long rivalry between ASU, SSANU and NASU, and where does that leave the negotiation really? Because then government has to contend with looking into the demand of ASU for UTAS and SSANU, NASU, NAT for U3PS.
Well, I do not want to believe there's any rivalry between ASU and NASU or SSANU, because university is a community where people are offered jobs to do. When you are appointed, you had a choice to apply for either to teach or to do the administrative work. So if you are in the admin cadre and you seem to envy who is the person who is in the academic cadre, you must be wasting your time, because that is his own calling and you have a different calling. So for me and for most of us, we do not believe there is any rivalry that exists between us. Rather, we are colleagues, we play complementary roles. Everybody has his own area of mandate, and everybody has his job, his or her job carved out for him or her. And therefore, those of us that are in the non-teaching cadre, is our decision, and is our decision to take the job of the non-teaching, while those that are doing the teaching jobs have also their jobs to do. So the university cannot operate without these different categories of staff. The university has 3 core mandates: teaching, research, and community service. The non-teaching, if a university is established today, the first 3 appointments that are made are appointments that is purely for administrative purposes: the vice-chancellor, the registrar, and the bursar. Then you now talk about other principal officers like the librarian, before any other issues are considered. So the non-teaching staff have the mandate to make the environment convenient, comfortable, and the atmosphere conducive for every stakeholder in the university. As you may know, the most important key stakeholders in the university system are the students. So we are all there for the students, and we are there to provide services for the staff and the students. Therefore, for the teaching staff, they are to come, teach, conduct researches, and their stay in that university cannot be complete. They cannot be able to operate without the services of the non-teaching staff. That's why I say we play complementary services, roles, sorry. We take charge of water supply, security services, administrative, payments. We also provide accommodation, and everything that makes the system works. We oil the engine of the system. Okay, well, and therefore, we know exactly what we are there to do.
Well,
yes.
One of the issues that comes to mind for me is, how optimistic are you that the federal government of Nigeria, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Labor, NIDA, any of them would favor U3PS over IPPIS, given what has happened to the UTAS proposed by ASU? How optimistic are you?
Well, you see, the whole idea is that everybody, there is no longer a debate that IPPIS is not serving the purposes that it is supposed to. It is very clear. Even those in the ministries and other departments of government do complain about issues surrounding payments through IPPIS. Talk less of those of us in the university that have seen it. Now, like I said, challenged by these issues surrounding IPPIS, inconsistencies in payment, we came with this solution. And it is now left to government. If truly what they want is to solve this problem, if truly what they want is to have a hitch-free system, in the university, where members of staff can access their pay without delay, where members of staff can be paid without all the hustles, where if you have issues, you may not have to start running from your own, domiciled area to Abuja to come and stay 2, 3, 4 days before you sort problems with the IPPIS. So it is now left to government to look at what we have presented.
Okay.
Vis-a-vis other solutions. We are open to discussions. We are open to criticisms. If they feel what we have presented will solve the problem, fine and good. If they want to have a handshake with what they have, we are open to we are giving solutions.
Well,
we are not trying to create additional problems.
On that same matter, remember that it was was just recently, not too long ago, the Minister of State for Education said the employee cannot dictate to the employer how they want to be paid. As far as they're concerned, the government is concerned, IPPIS is their chosen payment system. And no association such as yours can determine to them, to government, the employer, how they will pay you, the employee. How do you respond to that?
I think that is where, with all due respect, probably he got it wrong. We are not dictating to government how we should be paid or the means we should be paid. But what we are saying is that what government has brought on board is not serving the purpose. And because we work in a system that provides solutions, we are coming up with solutions. And it is not proper to keep doing something the same way and, expecting different results. IPPIS is not serving us.
Yeah.
IPPIS is creating problems.
Yeah. How far has
and
that
therefore,
conversation gone?
There is a U3PS
option. Good. How far has that conversation with government gone so far? When the presentation was made, what are the promises? What are the assurances that it will even be considered at all?
Well, as you may be aware, we only presented yesterday, and government was happy. The Minister of Education was there in person. He received it on behalf of government, and that he did mention that this will be subjected to all that is required, and that they are not averse to solving problems that are identified currently. And we are happy with that statement.
But do you also recall that one of the issues was that government, wanted their own party, maybe officials of NIDA, to be a part of the process so that, whatever issues may arise would be dealt with from the roots. Is there any conversation between SSANU, NASU, and any official of government to ensure that it meets, the standard that's required?
Well, what we have done was that after setting up a technical team from the best brains that we have, populated amongst our membership, we subjected the solution that we have come up with as the U3PS to a forum where we got inputs from professionals who are in the industry. And we have presented to government. The onus is now on government to look at it and then with a view to accepting whatever solution that we have provided, if truly they are willing to now solve this cankerworm of making life easier, for the members of staff who work in the university system. No member of staff in the university today is happy with the way salaries are paid, especially the salaries that are coming. You don't even determine what you will get today, this month, next month. And I can tell you a typical case of myself. I keep getting different salaries, at least for about 3 or 6, from between 3 and 6 months. And then sometimes you get overpaid, sometimes you get underpaid, sometimes you are given somebody's salary. So all these were the issues that we looked at. And then we found out that there are certain things that the IPPIS did not bring on board. And that is the flexibility and the peculiarity
let's manage our time.
Within the university system.
Very, very quickly. It's been 3 weeks into your own warning strike. And I would like you to articulate some of your demands, which, again, I want to point out, if I'm wrong, correct me, is similar to some of ASU's demands. So in that regard, what's the update in your negotiations with government concerning your demands? And how soon will there be an end to your strike?
Well, we have met with government and discussions are ongoing. Offers have been made, and the unions or our union operates in a system where we as leaders are only messengers to our principals who are populated at the level of membership in the different branches of Nigerian universities. We have accepted those offers and that we are presenting them to our members. And once we get their note, we come back to government and then let the government know. But you see, the problem has been that they say once bitten, twice shy. promises have been made. In the last 2 years, we have been on this rigmarole. Government have been promising, and then all these promises have never seen the light of the day. And therefore, you have to be circumspect when you are dealing with government these days. And therefore, that is the reason why that the offers that have just been made to us will now be tabled before our membership, and that we get the note of our membership and then refer back to government as the case may be.
We have completely run out of time. Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim, National President, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on negotiations with government and your proposal on to the solution to some of the biggest problems plaguing Nigerian universities. Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much.
Well, next is your own comments very, very quickly. Professor Imonoka Enakena says state and federal universities should allow for the minimal payment of school fees so that universities will become financially independent of government resources. Otherwise, this impasse between university staff and government won't end.
And Festus Akimboyewa says, it seems INEC has developed their timelines based on the new legislation, but INEC has room for flexibility. It should listen to the parties and accommodate their concerns. To rush the process could lead to defective primaries.
Architect Abdul Salam says, I totally support INEC on not tampering with the timeline. We're addicted to postponement in this country. If we follow the body language of the political parties, the general elections will also be postponed. Oh dear.
Oh dear. Comrade Dari says, INEC is constitutionally empowered to organize and conduct elections in Nigeria. Therefore, as an independent commission, it is within the purview of INEC to determine dates and timetable for elections in Nigeria. And by so doing, IPAC request is quite illogical.
Olagunju Oladele says, INEC does not regulate morality, but conforms to the legal framework on who has or doesn't have rights to contest. People are wary of the untrustworthy electoral process, and we only rely on the law and constitution and not our collective votes to stop politicians.
Indeed. Food for thought there, and it reminds me of what Professor Nanaba says. If indeed INEC goes ahead to postpone the timeline for primaries,
it's going to be dwindled.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the much of the program we can take today. Thank you so much for being a part of it, and have a wonderful day. I'm Ayo Makinde.
I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now.